Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you a 2003 Ford Mustang heater hose correction. As you can see, I already removed the hose, so I'm starting the video after I've already started. But let me show you how that hose was removed. The first step, we have this tool. As you can see, it has a claw on either end, and that claw goes into holes on the side of the or slots on the side of the fitting. You really don't need that. A lot of people talk about how you don't need that, because I still needed to compress in the back of, let's look at the one that we are here. In the back here, there's these springs, and that pushes a little lock button down so that it'll slide forward. So as long as you get a good pull on this while you're pushing both sides from the back, you should be able to pull that forward. This, you still need to push it even with the tool. A lot of people think this tool compresses it, but it really doesn't. It actually didn't seem to compress it any. So it didn't really help me much, except for the fact that I was able to get more grip with the tool on it. And it is from AutoZone. They let you pay $20, and then after you use it, return it and get your $20 back. So it's not that big a deal to have. And now let me talk about the next problem and why the hose is cut. Alright, so if you follow this hose, and let's see if we can get the camera down in there. And I don't think we can. You can kind of see the white clip. Fairly difficult to see, but I'll show you on the new hose as it came from Ford. Okay, so this is a new hose as it came from Ford, and you can see it comes with the spring clip part, and you can see how it works. It basically, as it compresses, it loosens the grip, and it's on both sides, so you have to hold that from either side. And then on the other side, it's kind of a fancy, I guess that's more of a quick disconnect, and this is called a spring clip. Very fancy in that when it's fully open, and it comes fully open like this, so you can see how it works, it has a pin, a hole here, and a pin on this prong. So when it's fully open, it locks in a released position. So that way you can push it on, lift up on this pin just with a screwdriver, and it'll instantly spring close. So kind of nice. You push on, lift, spring. Getting it off, however, is the chore, because it's quite heavy duty, and I couldn't quite get in there with the pliers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screwdriver under the one in there and just kind of twist it and break it until it's off. Now, what's this? This is the same part. It had the same metal crimp on it. And this is the old part. And what I did, because the leak was what I thought at the hose here and just a bad crimp, I took a grinder and ground from this point to this point, cutting it mostly off. Now, if a grinder goes through the metal crimp to the hose, it would just hit hose. And so I stopped just about where it starts to turn down. So I didn't cut the down part. And then I just wiggled until it came off. And that exposed this hose, which has kind of a barb. And so then I put a hose, just one of those worm-type clamps on it, and it still leaked. And the reason why it still leaked is actually there's a hole in the bottom of the connector, and you can see the calcium deposits. So that's where the leak was from. So I couldn't save myself any money. I had to buy the whole new fitting, and I probably could cut this one off and then do the hose clamp, but you know, you really hate to waste this nicely designed hose, so I'll just take the time to put the whole piece on and do it properly. If you were to try and buy the hose from AutoZone, they have one that rotates around to this point, and I guess you hose clamp at this point and you don't use your spring clamp. And if you look at this, it's a straight tube, there's no barb, and it's rather slippery. It's aluminum, and I kind of had the feeling that it would squeeze too tightly on this aluminum and might deform it. And I really didn't like the idea of just putting a hose clamp on there. So I did think of the L-shaped one that they also have, and putting a hose clamp here if it was further, and you wanted to save yourself the $39 and just wanted to get the $10 one from AutoZone and reuse your fitting. But the problem is they have O-rings inside of here, and those O-rings go bad as well, so they start leaking at this point, which would be another situation where water comes out. And he said there's an O-ring replacement kit, but not available for this fitting. I don't know if that was to sell me the part, but since there was a hole in the bottom, it really didn't matter. But that might be another solution, that you just replace the hose O-ring kit, if that is a possibility. And there you got it. I hope this video helps you on a 2003 Ford Mustang. Oh, there's one other thing I should point out. This is really interesting. You see how they're side by side? If you go into Ford.com for the 2003 Ford Mustang, you'll notice they're vertical. And it's hard to figure out which hose you have. This hose here has a smaller fitting than this hose here. One's the return and one's the supply. Not quite sure which is which, to be honest, except for referring to the diagram, the lower one is this one, not the top on the diagram. So this passenger side equals the bottom one in the image on the Ford.com. And when I was at Ford dealer, I actually took a picture of it, and I told them it was a larger one, and they still ordered the wrong part. And he said, oh, he ordered the upper diagram one. You would think this outside is upper, but actually outside was lower in the diagram. So maybe that'll help you order the right part if you need to. The diagram also shows one going straight to the water pump, and they both go kind of around and behind, so we really can't figure out which one's going to the water pump, which one's the return, and which one's the supply. But knowing that the passenger side one is the same as the lower in the diagram will probably solve your problem for you. And that'll be it. Thank you. Hope this video helps. I only posted it because it took me so much time to figure out, and there was no videos on YouTube, so hopefully this will help someone else.